They had the perfect life, or so it seemed. Kyle and Rebecca Anderson were the couple everyone admired. A beautiful home, 2 wonderful kids, and a marriage built on trust. Or at least, that's what Kyle believed. He worked long hours to provide for his family, while Rebecca managed the household with care. But slowly, things began to change. Rebecca grew distant, glued to her phone, always distracted. Conversations became shallow, excuses piled up, and the warmth they once shared started to fade. Kyle sensed something was wrong, but he never expected to discover the truth the way he did. One evening, exhausted from work, he turned on the TV and stumbled upon a reality show, one that promised to expose hidden secrets. He watched absent-mindedly until a familiar face appeared on screen. His heart stopped. It was Rebecca. And then the question came, "Have you been unfaithful to your husband?" Kyle leaned in, barely breathing. The silence stretched before she spoke, her voice shaking. "I had an affair." The words shattered his world in an instant. What was once a life of love and devotion was now nothing more than a painful illusion. Rebecca and Kyle Anderson had built a life that many envied. Their 2-story home stood proudly on a quiet, tree-lined street, nestled in a picturesque suburb where neighbors exchanged friendly waves and children played without worry. To outsiders, they were the perfect couple. A loving husband, a devoted wife, and 2 beautiful children, Lily, 6, and Ethan, 8. Kyle worked tirelessly at a high-profile tech company, ensuring financial stability for his family. Though the long hours sometimes took a toll, he believed it was worth it. Rebecca, once an ambitious career woman, had chosen to be a stay-at-home mother to nurture their children and manage their household. She had always been his rock, and he trusted her with everything. Their marriage, at least from Kyle's perspective, was strong. They had routine date nights, supported each other's dreams, and always put family first. Yet, in the quiet spaces between conversations, something began to shift. It started subtly. Rebecca's distracted glances, the way she would stay up late texting, her once warm and affectionate demeanor cooling into something distant. At first, Kyle dismissed it as exhaustion, the natural strain of parenting, but as the weeks stretched into months, her absence in their marriage became undeniable. When he asked her what was wrong, she would smile softly, brushing a hand through his hair as she always had. "I'm just tired," she would say. "Nothing's wrong." But Kyle knew better. Rebecca's detachment grew more pronounced. She started attending evening yoga classes more frequently, saying she needed time for herself. While he encouraged her to have personal space, Kyle couldn't shake the feeling that she was drifting away from him. Family dinners, once filled with laughter and stories of the day, became strained. She rarely met his gaze anymore. When he reached for her at night, she would shift away, murmuring excuses of exhaustion. The biggest change, however, was her phone. She was glued to it, always smiling at the screen, quickly locking it whenever Kyle walked into the room. He asked her who she was talking to so often, and she would laugh it off. "Just the moms from Lily's school," she'd say. But her evasive tone told a different story. The gnawing suspicion in Kyle's gut grew stronger, but he silenced it. He trusted his wife. He had to. But trust only goes so far before doubt starts whispering in the shadows. One fateful evening, after an exhausting day at work, Kyle collapsed onto the couch and mindlessly flipped through television channels. His thoughts drifted as he scrolled, his mind heavy with the unease that had settled in his marriage. Then something caught his attention, a reality show called Truth or Lies filled the screen. He had heard about it before, a controversial show where people confessed their deepest secrets on national television. Usually, he would skip over such drama, but something held him in place, and then he saw her. His breath caught in his throat as the camera panned to the stage, where Rebecca sat under glaring studio lights. His wife. His Rebecca. She looked nervous, her fingers twisting in her lap, her expression unreadable. The host leaned forward, voice calm but probing. The words that followed shattered Kyle's world. Have you been unfaithful to your husband?" Rebecca hesitated, her lips parting slightly. Her throat bobbed as she swallowed hard. Then, with a voice barely above a whisper, she said, "I had an affair." Kyle's vision blurred. The world around him ceased to exist, she confessed, on television, to the world. As the episode continued, Rebecca explained everything. She had met someone at yoga class. At first, it was harmless, small talk, occasional laughs, but then the lines blurred. Messages became flirty, touches lingered, stolen moments turned into secret rendezvous. "I felt lost," she admitted, "like I wasn't seen anymore, and he made me feel alive again." Kyle felt like he was suffocating. Every word she spoke stabbed deeper into his heart. The betrayal was one thing, unbearable, soul-crushing. But the fact that she had shared their private life with millions of strangers made it even worse. He wanted to scream, to throw the remote, to do something, anything, to erase what he had just heard. Instead, he sat frozen, numb to the world, as the episode played on. The next few days were a blur. Kyle couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. His mind was a whirlwind of emotions: anger, heartbreak, confusion. He replayed the moment over and over in his head. How could she do this? How could she betray him, their family, their children? And then there was the public humiliation. News of Rebecca's confession spread like wildfire. Friends, neighbors, co-workers, everyone had seen it. People whispered behind his back. Social media was flooded with opinions. Some sympathizing with Rebecca, others painting Kyle as an absent husband who drove her into another man's arms. He was drowning in a sea of judgment. But the worst part? Rebecca didn't seem to grasp the full gravity of what she had done. She apologized, but her words felt hollow. "I just needed to be honest," she told him. "I couldn't live with the lie anymore." Honest. She had confessed on TV before even telling him. That wasn't honesty, it was betrayal on an even deeper level. And yet, she continued seeing the other man. Kyle noticed the late-night texts, the secretive calls. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore, as if confessing had somehow freed her from guilt. He felt like a ghost in his own home. One evening, while Rebecca was out, Kyle sat alone in their quiet living room. His mind raced, his heart ached. Then, his eyes drifted to the drawer near the bookshelf, the one where he had hidden the gun he'd purchased days before. It hadn't been a plan, just an impulse. A strange, unrecognizable part of him had sought control in the only way he knew how. Now, as he sat there, the weight of betrayal pressing down on him, the thought entered his mind. Would it end the pain? Would it stop the torment of replaying her words over and over? He walked toward the drawer, slowly, deliberately. His fingers hovered over the handle. Then, Lily's voice. "Daddy?" Kyle turned sharply. His daughter stood in the hallway, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Why are you up?" he asked, forcing his voice to steady. "I had a bad dream," she mumbled, shuffling toward him. Without hesitation, she climbed into his lap and nestled against his chest. Kyle exhaled shakily, pressing a kiss to her forehead. That moment anchored him. The pain wouldn't last forever. His children needed him. He wasn't going to let this destroy him. The next morning, Kyle made a decision. He wouldn't fight for a woman who had already let him go. He wouldn't drown in the betrayal, nor let it define him. Instead, he would fight for himself, for his children. When Rebecca returned that evening, Kyle met her at the door, his expression calm but firm. "We need to talk," he said. For the first time in months, she looked uncertain. "Kyle, He held up a hand. "No more excuses, no more justifications. I need to know, do you even want to fix this?" She hesitated, and that hesitation was his answer. A weight lifted from his chest. It hurt, yes, but clarity had finally arrived. "I'm filing for divorce," he said, his voice steady, "and I'm going to be okay." For the first time since the nightmare began, Kyle believed it. because sometimes the end of one story is just the beginning of another.